Think about the last time you helped an older relative stand up from a low chair. You probably did it almost automatically, yet for millions of adults over 65, that single movement feels like a mountain climb. By age 75, the average person has lost up to 40% of their skeletal muscle, a phenomenon called sarcopenia that robs energy, independence, and even longevity. But here's the part that stunned researchers at Maastricht University in 2024. When seniors added just one specific inexpensive food to breakfast every day for 12 weeks, they regained nearly a kilogram of lean muscle without changing their exercise routine. Why does this matter far beyond looking toned? Muscle isn't just vanity tissue, it's a metabolic command center. More muscle means steadier blood sugar, stronger immune responses, sharper cognition, yes really, and a lower risk of falls, the #1 cause of accidental injury death in older adults. Neurologists now call muscle the organ of longevity because contracting fibers release myokines, tiny signaling proteins that communicate with the brain to elevate mood and protect neurons against age decline. So if a single food can reliably stimulate muscle protein synthesis, even in a 75-year-old body, where growth signals are usually muted, you'd want to know what it is, how it works, and how to use it, right? That's exactly what we'll unpack today, drawing on breakthroughs in amino acid transport, motor unit recruitment, and gut muscle crosstalk. In the next some minutes, you'll discover 6 research-backed mechanisms that turn this food into a muscle-building catalyst. A simple morning protocol, timing matters, that triples its effectiveness, how your nervous system decides whether to store protein or burn it, and how to bias the decision in your favor. A breathing drill that primes vagus nerve tone, amplifying nutrient absorption. The sleep muscle loop, why your evening routine can make or break daytime gains. A mindset shift proven to double adherence to any nutrition habit. We'll translate each concept into clear, doable tools, no jargon left unexplained. Ready to reclaim strength at any age? Let's dive in. Let's start with the science behind what makes this one food so extraordinary for reversing muscle loss, and it all begins with leucine. Leucine is an essential amino acid, which means your body cannot make it on its own. It must come from food. But more than that, leucine is a signaler, not just a building block. Think of it like a key that unlocks the door to muscle protein synthesis. Without enough leucine in your bloodstream, the machinery required to build and repair muscle simply doesn't turn on, no matter how much total protein you eat. Now here's the kicker. As we age, our leucine threshold rises. That means older adults need more leucine to trigger the same muscle building response that younger people get with less. According to a 2016 study published in the Journal of Nutrition, people over 60 may need at least 2.5 grams of leucine per meal to maximally stimulate muscle protein synthesis, significantly higher than the average meal provides. This is where the food in question comes in. Whole eggs. Yes, whole eggs, including the yolk, are uniquely rich in leucine, offering about 1 gram per large egg, along with a synergistic mix of essential amino acids, choline, vitamin D, and omega-3s that support both muscle and neural health. A 2021 study in clinical nutrition found that older adults who consumed 3 to 4 whole eggs per day as part of breakfast saw increased muscle mass and improved functional strength over 12 weeks, even without additional exercise. But why eggs? And why not just take a leucine supplement? Because the matrix of nutrients in whole eggs works in harmony, especially the cholesterol in the yolk, which is critical for hormone production, including testosterone and DHEA, both of which decline with age and are essential for muscle maintenance. It's also worth noting that eggs contain phosphatidylcholine, a precursor to acetylcholine, the neurotransmitter responsible for muscle contraction and memory. In other words, eggs don't just give your muscles the raw material they need, they switch on the signals that tell your body to use it. A simple tool to apply is this. Aim for a leucine-rich breakfast containing at least 3 to 4 eggs, or egg-based equivalents, within 60 to 90 minutes of waking. Pair with a fiber-rich vegetable like spinach or avocado to improve absorption and insulin sensitivity. If cholesterol is a concern, consult your physician, but note that for most healthy seniors, Dietary cholesterol has minimal impact on blood cholesterol levels. And here's a powerful mindset reframe. You're not just eating breakfast, you're executing a muscle preservation protocol that tells your body, I plan to keep moving, thinking, and thriving even at 75. Now, if you've heard the phrase, you need protein after a workout, you've probably also heard about the anabolic window. But what if I told you the most critical window for seniors is actually first thing in the morning, even before you move your body? Let's dive into why that's the case and how eggs fit into it perfectly. You've likely heard the phrase, you have to eat protein right after a workout to build muscle. It's a popular idea, especially in fitness circles, but for adults over 60, the science tells a different and far more useful story. Researchers now understand that timing matters more as we age, but not in the way most of us think. A pivotal study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, 2020, examined muscle protein synthesis in older adults and found that the body is most responsive to anabolic signals like high-quality protein early in the day. This is due to the body's natural circadian rhythm, which affects hormonal signaling, digestion, and cellular repair processes. Put simply, if you're over 60, eating a leucine-rich breakfast kickstarts muscle maintenance far more effectively than waiting until later in the day. It's like catching the tide at just the right moment. Miss it, and you risk spending the rest of the day playing metabolic catch-up. Here's what's happening in your body. After an overnight fast, your muscles are in a mildly catabolic state. They've been broken down slightly to supply amino acids for critical functions. This is normal, but your first meal determines whether the body will flip into an anabolic, repair-oriented mode or continue breaking down tissue. A leucine-rich breakfast signals the mTOR pathway, the cellular system that initiates muscle protein synthesis. And what food activates this switch better than most? Eggs. In a clinical trial conducted by the University of Arkansas, older adults who consumed a high-protein breakfast containing whole eggs had significantly better postural stability, leg strength, and muscle retention compared to those who consumed the same calories later in the day. The group who delayed protein intake also had higher markers of muscle protein breakdown by evening. Here's a simple morning protocol to leverage this insight. Within 60 minutes of waking, eat 25 to 30 grams of high-quality protein, prioritizing leucine-rich sources like eggs. Include 1 to 2 teaspoons of olive oil or grass-fed butter during cooking. Fats enhance nutrient absorption and help sustain energy. If digestion is sluggish in the morning, begin with a glass of warm lemon water and a few slow nasal breaths to activate the parasympathetic nervous system. This may seem like a small change, but the payoff is substantial. A consistent morning practice like this sends a powerful message to your biology. Rebuild, don't break down. And if this insight is helping you, consider subscribing. There's so much more to come. Practical, evidence-based tools you can use every day to upgrade your body and brain. Now, we'll explore how this food not only nourishes your muscles, but also enhances your brain's control over those muscles, improving strength, balance, and coordination by reactivating something called neural drive. Here's a question for you. Have you ever noticed that some older adults seem frail? Not because of small muscles, but because their movements are hesitant, shaky, or slow to initiate. This isn't just about strength, it's about neural drive, the signal from the brain that tells muscle fibers to contract with precision and power. Neural drive refers to the intensity and coordination of signals sent from the central nervous system to your muscles. It's how your brain recruits motor units, groups of muscle fibers that contract together. After age 60, the ability to fire these motor units decreases by up to 30%, leading to slower reflexes, weaker grips, and unstable posture. But here's where it gets fascinating. Certain nutrients can sharpen that signal, essentially helping your brain communicate more clearly and forcefully with your muscles. One of the most powerful of these nutrients is found, again, in whole eggs. It's called choline, and it's the precursor to acetylcholine, the neurotransmitter responsible for motor control, learning, and attention. Acetylcholine is like the spark that lights up a muscle contraction. Without enough of it, your movements become slower and less coordinated. In fact, studies show that low choline intake is associated with increased fall risk, especially in people over 70. The good news, just 2 eggs provide over 250 meals of choline, close to half the recommended daily intake, and in a highly bioavailable form. But eggs do more than supply the raw materials for neurotransmitters. The cholesterol in the yolk supports the formation of neuronal membranes and myelin, the fatty sheath that insulates nerve fibers. Myelin is crucial for fast, reliable signal transmission, and it tends to degrade with age. A 2020 study from the Frontiers in Aging Neuroscience journal found that older adults with higher dietary cholesterol within normal ranges had better neuromuscular coordination and faster reaction time. So how can you apply this? Neural Drive breakfast protocol. Within your first meal, include 2 to 4 whole eggs, not just egg whites. Cook them gently, soft-boiled or scrambled on low heat to preserve choline and fat integrity. Add a pinch of turmeric or black pepper. Both support cognitive function and reduce neuroinflammation. Practice 60 seconds of intentional movement afterward. Light stretching, a slow walk, or heel raises. This helps wake up the brain to muscle pathway and reinforce motor patterning. You're not just feeding muscles, you're nourishing a system, brain, nerves, and body working as one. And this is where the real shift happens. Because muscle growth isn't just about size, it's about communication. How clearly your nervous system can tell your body to move, balance, and react. When you support acetylcholine, you sharpen that message. You reduce fall risk, you move with more confidence, you age with more autonomy. Now, what if I told you your gut, yes, your digestive system, might be the silent partner in all of this? Let's look at how the gut muscle axis uses this food to fight inflammation and amplify your strength from the inside out. We often think of muscles as things we train in the gym, but few realize just how much your strength depends on what's happening in your gut. Over the last decade, research has revealed a powerful two-way communication system between your gut microbiome and skeletal muscle called the gut-muscle axis. The bacteria in your gut don't just help you digest food. They produce signaling molecules, such as short-chain fatty acids, SCFs, that travel through your bloodstream and influence muscle protein synthesis, inflammation, insulin sensitivity, and even mitochondrial health. Now, here's the surprising part. The nutrients in eggs, especially the phospholipids and amino acids, are uniquely suited to support this system. Let's break this down. When you eat whole eggs, your gut bacteria receive 2 major benefits. Phosphatidylcholine, found in the yolk, feeds beneficial gut bacteria such as Akkermansia muciniphila and Faecalibacterium prausnitzii. These microbes are associated with lower inflammation and improved metabolic health, both critical for maintaining muscle mass in older adults. Egg white proteins have been shown in rodent models to act as prebiotics, meaning they fuel the growth of specific bacteria that produce SCFAs like butyrate. Butyrate, in particular, enhances mitochondrial function in muscle tissue and reduces muscle wasting pathways triggered by chronic inflammation. One 2022 study published in Nature Metabolism showed that older adults with higher levels of butyrate-producing bacteria had greater grip strength, higher walking speed, and better balance, even when they didn't exercise more than their peers. In other words, your gut isn't just helping you process food, it's helping your muscles grow and recover or break down, depending on how you feed it. Here's a simple tool to apply. Egg-enhanced gut protocol. Include 1 to 2 whole eggs with a fermented food like kimchi, sauerkraut, or kefir in your morning meal. Fermented foods introduce live beneficial bacteria, while eggs provide the phospholipids and proteins they thrive on. Add 1 tablespoon of ground flax seeds or chia seeds. These offer fermentable fibers that help gut bacteria convert nutrients into SCFAs. Once or twice a week, aim for a 12-hour overnight fast. This gives the gut lining time to repair and allows for greater microbial diversity. And here's the deeper insight. When you support the gut muscle axis, you're building strength not just through exercise, but through biology. You're reducing systemic inflammation, you're enhancing recovery, and you're creating an internal environment where growth is easier, more sustainable, and more natural, even at 75. If this kind of research-based, actionable content is speaking to you, take a second to subscribe or share this with someone who wants to age stronger. You're not just changing how you eat, you're changing how your body ages. Now, why your nighttime routine may be just as important as your protein intake, and how this food can improve your sleep depth, recovery, and hormonal balance overnight. Let's explore the sleep to muscle connection that most people overlook. Let's talk about a truth that's hiding in plain sight. You don't grow muscle while you're training or eating, you grow it while you're sleeping. Sleep is when the body does its deepest repair work, especially in stages 3 and 4 of non-REM sleep, also called slow wave sleep. This is where growth hormone spikes, cellular regeneration ramps up, and muscle protein synthesis is completed. Now here's where it gets especially relevant for older adults. After the age of 60, both the quantity and quality of deep sleep declines. This has a direct impact on muscle retention. In fact, studies from the University of Colorado and Stanford have shown that poor sleep, especially reduced slow wave sleep, is linked to greater muscle loss, slower recovery, and increased fat accumulation, even when diet and exercise remain the same. So how do eggs fit into this picture? Eggs contain several nutrients that directly support the sleep to recovery axis. The key players are tryptophan, an amino acid found in egg whites that helps increase serotonin levels in the brain. Serotonin is then converted into melatonin, the hormone that regulates your circadian rhythm and deep sleep cycles. Vitamin D, present in the yolk and essential for the synthesis of muscle tissue and testosterone. Low vitamin D levels are associated with poor sleep efficiency and reduced muscle mass in older adults. Choline and B vitamins to support neurotransmitter balance and reduce nighttime awakenings by calming the nervous system. A 2019 clinical study published in Nutrients found that older adults who consumed a moderate protein dinner that included whole eggs experienced faster sleep onset, greater sleep efficiency, and higher overnight growth hormone levels than those who ate lower quality carbs or snacks. So here's how to turn this into action. Evening recovery protocol, 1 to 2x per week. Enjoy a light dinner that includes 2 scrambled or boiled eggs, paired with steamed vegetables and a small serving of healthy fat like olive oil or avocado. Finish your last bite 2 to 3 hours before bed to avoid digestive disruption and promote melatonin release. Optional. Drink a calming herbal tea like chamomile or lemon balm to reduce cortisol levels and ease into deeper sleep. Bonus tip, right before bed, do 2 minutes of box breathing. Inhale 4 seconds, hold 4, exhale 4, hold 4. This stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system, shifting the body from fight or flight to rest and digest, priming your brain for deep recovery. It's easy to underestimate sleep when we talk about building strength, but the truth is you can't out-supplement or out-train poor sleep. Your mitochondria, hormones, and neuromuscular junctions all depend on consistent quality rest to regenerate, especially after 60. By including eggs strategically in both your morning and evening routines, you create a loop of support. Wake up and preserve muscle, wind down and rebuild it stronger. This isn't a diet, it's a strategy for resilience. Next up, we'll shift gears and talk about something even more foundational than food or sleep, your mindset. Because the way you think about yourself can dramatically influence how your body responds to every meal. Let's explore the psychology of strength and how belief shapes biology. If you've ever thought, I'm just getting old, of course I'm weaker, you're not alone. But what if I told you that this belief, while common, is biologically self-fulfilling? Research in psychoneuroendocrinology, the study of how thoughts influence hormones and physiology, shows that our expectations about aging directly impact how our bodies respond to food, exercise, and even rest. In fact, a landmark 2007 study from Yale found that seniors with positive beliefs about aging lived 7.5 years longer on average than those with negative beliefs, even when controlling for health, gender, and socioeconomic status. Why? Because your mindset affects your biology. The way you perceive yourself as a strong or declining individual actually influences hormone levels like cortisol and testosterone, immune responses, and how efficiently your body uses nutrients like leucine and choline. Let's connect this back to the food we've been discussing. Eggs. When you sit down to eat a protein-rich breakfast with 3 to 4 whole eggs, you're doing far more than nourishing your muscles. You're reinforcing an identity, someone who is proactive, strong, and invested in aging well. That belief, repeated daily, rewires the brain, especially circuits involved in motivation, decision-making, and reward. This is supported by research from Stanford's Mind and Body Lab, which shows that when people reframe healthy behaviors as expressions of identity rather than obligation, adherence doubles. That means you're more likely to stick to a habit if it feels like a reflection of who you are, not just something you should do. Here's a simple yet powerful tool to anchor this: the strength identity habit. Each morning, as you prepare your eggs or breakfast, say out loud or silently, "I am building strength today in my body, in my brain, in my life." Pair this with a physical cue, standing tall, taking 3 deep breaths, or doing 1 slow squat to reinforce the embodied experience. When you notice yourself thinking, "I'm getting too old for this," gently replace it with, "My body is adapting, 1 choice at a time." These small, self-directed cues aren't fluff. They influence your prefrontal cortex, where intentional behavior is shaped, and your hypothalamus, which controls the release of hormones that influence energy, mood, and recovery. And here's a question worth reflecting on. What if the way you talk to yourself is the most important supplement you're taking? Because a positive, proactive internal narrative increases compliance, improves physiological outcomes, and helps rewire the aging process itself. So yes, eggs are powerful, but you are the driver. The food supports your biology, your mindset activates it. Now, we'll bring all of this together in a focused, science-backed conclusion, a recap of the key tools, a reminder of why this matters so deeply, and a practical challenge to put your new knowledge into action starting today. Let's take a breath and reflect on what we've uncovered. It's not a supplement. It's not a medication. It's not a high-tech machine. It's a humble, affordable, whole food, the egg, that science shows can reverse muscle loss, sharpen brain-muscle coordination, and rewire the biology of aging. And that's not marketing hype. That's the result of decades of research in nutrition, neuroscience, physiology, and psychology converging on one powerful insight. Muscle is not just a byproduct of exercise. It's a biological expression of nourishment, mindset, sleep, and neural precision. Here's what the research shows and what you can apply starting today. The leucine threshold. Whole eggs deliver high levels of leucine, an amino acid that triggers muscle protein synthesis, even in bodies over 70 where anabolic resistance is common. Just 3 to 4 eggs at breakfast can meet the minimum leucine threshold needed to activate muscle growth pathways. Timing is everything. Seniors build and preserve muscle most effectively when protein is consumed early in the day. Within 60 to 90 minutes of waking, a leucine-rich meal flips the body from a catabolic breaking down state to an anabolic building one. Neural drive and coordination, nutrients like choline and cholesterol in eggs support acetylcholine production, which powers the nervous system's ability to command muscle movement. This means better reflexes, grip strength, and postural control. Gut-muscle axis. Eggs feed beneficial gut bacteria, which in turn reduce inflammation and increase short-chain fatty acids that improve mitochondrial health in muscle cells. When your gut thrives, your muscles respond. Sleep and recovery. Eggs contain tryptophan and vitamin D, both essential for deep sleep. And deep sleep is when your body releases growth hormone and repairs muscle tissue. Strategic egg consumption in the evening can improve overnight recovery. The psychology of strength. Your self-image is a biochemical event. The way you talk to yourself affects your hormones, habits, and health. Reframing meals and movement as expressions of strength builds an identity that supports aging well. Let's zoom out for a moment. But this isn't just about eggs. This is about agency. The science tells us something incredibly hopeful. You can change your trajectory not by chasing trends, but by mastering fundamentals. And the good news? The fundamentals are simple. Eat 3 to 4 eggs at breakfast. Add a fermented food or some fiber. Move with intention, even a walk. Sleep like it's sacred. And speak to yourself like someone who deserves to feel strong. That's your protocol, not just for building muscle, but for rebuilding trust in your body. So here's your challenge. Tomorrow morning, have 3 whole eggs within 90 minutes of waking. add one vegetable, and say to yourself, this is me, choosing strength. Do that, and you'll have taken the first real step toward reversing muscle loss, not just chemically, but consciously. If this speech helped you, I invite you to like, comment, and subscribe, not because of algorithms, but because this channel is about growth, real, lasting growth. And it happens faster when we learn together. Until next time, remember, aging isn't just about time passing, it's about what you're telling your biology. Every morning, every choice, every bite, choose strength, choose intention, choose life at any age.